I slipped into my husband's Audi and found a pair of silk stockings knotted in the glove box. I said nothing. I quietly swapped them for ones soaked in extra-strength chili oil. And what happened next had the neighbors ringing $9.99 for the ambulance in a right panic. The Audi's leather seats still held the warmth of his last drive home, the engine ticking itself cool in the garage like a guilty heartbeat. I'd only come for the shopping bags, but the glove box yawned open when I leaned across the passenger seat. There they were, sheer black stockings, size small, twisted into a careless knot and shoved behind the handbook. Not mine. Mine were M&S cotton blends, sensible and gray. These were the sort a woman wears when she wants to be noticed. I felt the slap of it before the sting. 43 years of marriage, 2 grown lads, a mortgage paid off in Croydon, and here was proof in nylon form. I didn't scream. I didn't ring him at the office. I simply closed the lid, fetched the bags, and went inside to brew a pot of Yorkshire Gold strong enough to strip paint. That night he came in late, smelling of the city and someone else's perfume, something sharp and expensive, like crushed nettles and ambition. Traffic on the A3, he muttered, kissing the top of my head as though I were a piece of furniture. I smiled, poured him a whiskey, and watched him slump into the armchair with the sigh of a man who thinks he's got away with it. I waited until the snoring started, deep, self-satisfied rumbles that rattled the bedroom window. Then I crept to the kitchen drawer where I keep the odds and ends, screws, picture hooks, and a small brown bottle labeled extra hot chili oil, not for skin. I'd bought it for a vindaloo that never happened. Tonight it would find its purpose. The stockings were still in the glove box. I eased them out with a biro, laid them on the draining board, and drizzled the oil until the silk drank it greedily. I turned them inside out, rubbed the seams, worked the heat into every fiber. Then I folded them back into their lover's knot and returned them exactly as I'd found them. The bottle went into the recycling with the wine bottles. No evidence. Just the faint scent of cumin and revenge. Next morning he left for his early meeting in Guildford. I waved from the doorstep in my dressing gown, hair in curlers, the picture of a trusting wife. As soon as the Audi vanished round the corner, I rang my sister in Leeds and told her I'd be staying the weekend. Sudden urge to see the grandkids, I lied. She didn't question it. I didn't go to Leeds. I went to Mrs. Patel next door, who keeps a spare key for emergencies and a heart the size of Yorkshire. Fire drill, I said. Need to test the smoke alarms while Roger's out. She nodded, eyes twinkling. Mrs. Patel misses nothing. By 11 o'clock the street was quiet, kids at school, husbands at desks. I sat in her front room with a cup of PG Tips and a clear view of our drive. At 11:27 the Audi returned. Roger wasn't alone. A woman stepped out, blonde, mid-30s, legs like a racehorse. She teetered up the path in patent heels, clutching an overnight bag. Roger fumbled the front door key twice, laughing too loud. They disappeared inside. I gave them 20 minutes. Long enough for champagne corks and clumsy kisses. Long enough for the stockings to come into play. Mrs. Patel's landline was ancient but reliable. I dialed my own mobile, let it ring twice, hung up. That was the signal. I'd left a pan of chip fat on the hob, timer set for noon. At 11:52 the first wisps of smoke curled from the kitchen window. Mrs. Patel gasped theatrically. Fire. Oh love, your house. She was already reaching for the phone. 999, please, fire at number 14 Acacia Avenue. I feigned panic, wringing my hands. My husband's in there, with his assistant. The sirens were beautiful. 2 appliances screeched round the corner, lights strobing off the semis. Firefighters spilled out like red ants. The front door burst open under a battering ram. Smoke billowed, harmless, theatrical, but convincing. And then the screaming started. Not the polite yelp of surprise. Proper, animal howls. Roger stumbled onto the lawn in nothing but his socks, face crimson, clawing at his thighs. The blonde followed, stockings tangled round one ankle, hopping and shrieking as though bees had nested in her knickers. The chili oil had done its work. Every touch, every frantic rub spread the burn deeper. Capsaicin, one firefighter barked, recognizing the symptoms. Get the milk. A neighbor produced a 2-pint carton. Roger appended it over his groin, sobbing. The blonde collapsed onto the grass, legs akimbo, modesty long forgotten. Mrs. Patel filmed the whole thing on her Nokia, narrating like David Attenborough. And here we see the lesser-spotted adulterer in his natural habitat. The ambulance arrived next. Paramedics wrestled Roger onto a stretcher while he babbled about that bitch and my eyes, my eyes. The blonde refused to let anyone touch her until a female crew member wrapped her in a blanket and coaxed her inside. The crowd, now 20 strong, cheered as the doors slammed shut. I arrived 10 minutes later, rushing back from the station, hair wild, coat inside out. Roger? Roger. I cried, pushing through the gawkers. A firefighter caught my arm. Your husband's been in an accident, ma'am. Chemical burns. He'll live. I buried my face in my hands, Oscar-worthy. Mrs. Patel patted my back, whispering, "You're a saint, Marlene. A bloody saint." That evening the video was on Facebook, tagged #Chilligate. By morning it had 200,000 views. Roger's firm issued a statement about stress leave. The blonde resigned before lunch. I filed for divorce on Monday, citing unreasonable behavior. The judge didn't blink when I produced the stockings, sealed in an evidence bag, still faintly reeking of cumin and regret. The house sold in 3 days. I moved to a flat above my cake shop in Kingston, where the ovens run hot and the customers never ask questions. Mrs. Patel visits every Friday for a Victoria sponge and the latest gossip. Roger limps past sometimes, eyes down, thighs still pink. I wave through the window. Some burns, love, never quite heal.